Here we go. Recording's up. The message is up. And let's see if this bot works or not. This is going to be a process, my friends, because it's something that I am unfamiliar with. Oh, okay, here we go. Where is it? Let's see. I have to invite the bot. Zig outlaid how to use this. I just didn't read it. Let's see. So if I hit these buttons, and I have this ready, and I hit this, So I can only hope that got caught. I don't know if it did. The recording might not be very good. I don't know how the settings were or not how I left them. So I apologize if it is funky for anyone listening by that. I am still alive, my friends. And some of you are probably not happy about that, but the rest of you are, and so that's wonderful. There we go. Okay. I have the mini itinerary. It's not an itinerary, but I'm going to pretend it is. The mini itinerary is pinned in the chat. I ran through in the pre-show a bit of what we're going to cover. Spanky, some stuff with the Coven, which is now, I think it's rank 20, so they've really jumped. The Odd Bunch, TFP, and all that Ripper drama in Arrgh, and then a whole bunch of stuff about the Commonwealth, a little bit about mechanics, and we'll talk about the real world stuff later. Well, it's not you, it's me. This is the first show in 4 weeks, I think. So a month, because you go back 2 weeks and I wasn't able to do it. So yeah, it would be the first one in 4 weeks. It's I have been ill. Some little thing going around. It's nothing much, but it was really bad back 2 weeks ago. I'm doing much better now, thankfully. The lingering agitation of the lungs. But to get to the politics and war, let's just jump to Spanky. None of these are in order of dates, but let's handle it this way. So he is supposedly leaving. Now, anyone that knows anything knows that this is a lie. And if you don't know anything, well, I'm sorry for you, but now you do. Spanky, there's no way that he's completely leaving. We've all kind of seen this already. He is going to still be around. His main account, the Spanky account, will still be here on Discord, still yabber-dabbering with the rest of us. But I think it's widely been revealed by this point, he'll be playing under a different name as well. So beware. The next Spanky spy you get in your alliance might be Spanky himself. Who knows? I don't think there's really much to go on here. His reasoning for the basically re-rolling was very logical. Basically, by leaking so much, by having played Public Enemy #1, he can't do anything anymore except be Public Enemy #1. So there's nothing left for him to do except continually cause problems. And if that gets boring after a while, trust me, you want something more to your gameplay. So if he ever wants to actually be in an alliance, if he ever actually wants to be gov in an alliance or do anything in the game outside of leak things and cause problems, this was the only way for him, because we've seen people like Arrgh and other groups are just going to hound him indefinitely because they don't like that he leaks. It's what it is. So, smart move by him. I think it's the right choice, but I'll leave that up to you. Brief segment talking about the Coven. So, for those of you that have no idea well, you can. I think leaks are a fact of life. And while absolutely take advantage of if he's out in the open or untreated, go ahead, throw a few rounds on him. But if he's trying to play the game, like when he was sitting in Carthago, to just continually hound the guy for trying to spice things up, I disagree with. I understand attacking somebody who's leaking, but at the same point in time, it's your own fault. You have a government member that is untrustworthy. You are the group that cannot control your own flow of information. And so if you are the ones, yes and no, but it's not Spanky that's the traitor. If Arrgh has a government member that cannot keep their lips sealed, or that Spanky has put there and Arrgh has not caught, yes, part of that is on Spanky for taking the information, but part of that's still on Arrgh because it's their own group. They control access to any information Spanky has or has been able to get. And so in that case, part of the effort on blaming needs to go into finding their own problem. None of this is going to go away either, my friends, with him, quote unquote, re-rolling. The dude is still going to be here, and he's keeping his main Discord account for a reason. If he just ever wants to just start throwing leaks, he can, because nobody's going to know what his main account is and what his main nation, well, not his main nation, I'm assuming the city one or whatever is going to be deleted when he re-rolls. Spanky, Decagon, his deletion. When if he ever decides, I want to go back to destroy, he's already deleted. Okay, well, there it is. If he decides he ever wants to go back to utterly blowing the door open on all of Aurora's OPSEC, he can do that from his main Discord account that he is keeping and play the game perfectly normally on the other end. So I think it's a great tactic, honestly, for him to get back into the swing of things and actually be able to play the game while still wreaking havoc if he feels like he needs to. That's just my take on it. I don't view it like some people do, where it's a moral issue on his part. He's immoral for doing so. I think a lot of things that people do in this game could be considered immoral, and taking advantage of an information leak is really not the worst. If it's available and he can use it to further his own advantage, think of the sheer reputation Spanky has. How many people do you think how many alliances are going to be watching their applicants to see if they can catch his reroll. Because I guarantee you there's quite a few that are going to have an eye out. And it's sheer reputation. If there's a way for you to further your reputation in this game, you take it. If there's anything that has been learned between bank heists, scammers, defaulters, coups, bad treaties, or unpopular treaties, if it can further your reputation, you take advantage of it. This is what the game has decided is its culture. This is what the game has decided it wants as its method of advancing yourself. If you have an opportunity, you take it, and if it screws other people over, you screw other people over. That's the mentality. And for him to be able to do that and then not have to face the consequences is, I think it's brilliant. So that's my take on that. Valini, how do you want it pronounced? Is it the way Thalmor does with Valini, or is it a different way? I try not to butcher pronunciation, but Thalmor's way? Okay. Do you believe that players are characters? Therefore, if they change their name and identity, does it change their past reputation? No. The game is too fixated on out of character for it to be anything other than that. You'd be surprised, Napoleon. Ron does not pay for leaks like people claim it does. If they're very good ones, maybe. I don't know. You'd have to ask the big man himself. But no, it's not just, oh, there's a leak, we're going to go buy it. That's not at all how it works. If they change their name and identity, does it change their past reputation? I am firmly on the no. Because of the fact that, yes, they will pay for certain things. And if it's a big enough leak, they're absolutely going to pay for it. Like, if you go back to when Xander, Snowden, whatever you want to call him, the big Odyssey thief person that leaked celestial chats, that kind of leak, yeah, Ron would absolutely pay for that if the option was given to them, because that's a huge leak, and the sheer amount of conversation that's going to come out of that is going to be absolutely worth whatever he has to pay to buy it. To get to the point, does it change their past reputation? No, because nobody actually plays a character. I don't believe that. And some people might take issue with me on that. I don't believe that people have the ability to separate themselves into multiple personas. When you come into this game, you operate under your already predetermined ideas of what things should be and how things are. Yes, there is an extent to role playing. For instance, if you have friends, you can absolutely go to war with them and have your little role play fun. And you can absolutely play into character of being aggressive on behalf of your alliance. But these are also predetermined ideas that you came into the game with and you view the game through. You have your own lens you view the world through. And to pretend that you can switch that out and put another one in is a sheer falsehood. People change over time, but they do not change like that. You cannot flip the script from being a warmonger to a pixel hugger. That is not, I would, if somebody tried to pretend that, if Sam Cooper, for instance, tried to pretend that he went from Arrgh warmonger to TFP pixel hugger, then not at all a possible switch. There's the ultimate point I guess I'm trying to make is that people can break out of character for a short while. But a true hardcore pixel hugger You're not going to take, for instance, a great example right now would be Arrgh. You're not going to take a Arrgh member who is attached emotionally to their pixels and throw them into Hand of Fate or Arrgh. It's just not going to happen unless you've got one of the 2 Arrgh members that are actually active and play the game. And even then, you're pushing it a little far. People come in and they view this game through their lens. People have their ideas of what they want. And I think it is fair to judge people off of their past actions, no matter what they try to do. For those of you that remember Xander, if you remember him actually being called Xander, you will know that he has switched identities about 15 times over. And yet, every single time, there is some sort of crisis attached. GCIS, ERF, Odyssey. I'm sure there's more. All the affiliates of ERS. The only people that can truly play split personalities are people with multi-personality disorder in the real world. I agree that you can change yourself a little bit, but I do not think you can fully separate yourself from who you are in the real world. So let me summarize this. Yes, your character can change a bit over time, but no, it is impossible for a character in the game to take a complete polar flip. It is not possible, for instance, to go from having Epi mentality to having Kitschy mentality, or however you pronounce the Arrgh person. You cannot flip from those mentalities. What about this example? I have a friend who is a completely different character from Cyber Nations to Politics and War, but people still judge him on the Cyber Nations rep. I think, honestly, I'm going to tie this a bit to the real world. People go into free speech and they say, well, I should be able to say whatever I want to say in the United States. And that's true. You should be able to say whatever you want to say, but there are consequences. If you say something that people don't like, you're going to face the consequences of public disapproval. It's the same kind of thing when you're making decisions in character. You can't ever, anyone who the ultimate thing here, Valini, I guess, is yes, you can change character a little bit. My opinion, you can change a little bit and you can sway over time. But no, you cannot completely invert your character. And no, you cannot pretend by changing your character, you are now unaccountable for past decisions. It's like if you ever, any of those, well, that's true too. Damien's made a good point. You can also change the outside shell of the character, but your inner ideals will likely vary minimally from character to character. What you focus on in each character might be different, but the core identity will likely remain the same. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. So ultimately, I think it's up for debate on whether or not you can flip your character, up for public debate on whether or not you can flip your character. But I will say, anyone who wants to try to change their character in the game and pretend that by changing the character, they're all of a sudden unaccountable for their decisions as another character. That no, that you're just that's idiotic. I'm sorry, but that's being an idiot. But that's the very thing, Zig. And that's why I love exactly what he just said. That's called a redemption arc. Exactly. They would be, that new character would have to prove that they have been redeemed. They have to redeem themselves for past actions. They cannot say, no, I never did those actions because I'm a different character. The new person is still accountable for the old person and still has to make up for those actions. That's my opinion on that. Um, well, Avatar Patrick, that's different in how I view this, because when you go in and you don't have an idea of how things work, you have to, well, it's once you understand your environment that you can truly create and play a character or an identity. You can't come into a new thing having no clue what happens and stick to that character, because there will be flaws. That's like trying to make a D&D character and having no idea what D&D is. Well, when you actually play the game, you're going to realize, well, hey, wait a minute, I really blew it here. I should have my stuff over here instead of here. I should, you get the point. When you actually understand how things work, your character creation changes. So yes, that's my thinking on that. The other thing, I'm going to talk about this briefly. I touched on it and then we got into Bellini's hot topic. The Coven, where TFB, here we go. So, oh, come on, here we go. Okay. For those of you that have no idea what a Coven is, there you go. They are currently rank 20, and this happened due to a merge between Sanctuary and the Coven. So it's bumped both of them up from like, no, not COVID, Coven. No. Yes, but no. Not really. So the two were about low 40s, so 48, 47 kind of area. And now they're 20, which is quite an accomplishment score-wise. Earlier, there was the declaration. Damien, can you drop that here if you have it on hand? If you don't worry about it. The Coven declared war on, what's their name? The Kingdom of Greece. So, speaking of Odyssey, which I mentioned in talking about the thief, Xander, Odyssey is the only ally of the Kingdom of Greece. The Kingdom of Greece is rank 49, and Odyssey, which is now the Terran Federation, is rank 79. Neither of them, even combined, they really don't stand much of a chance. So, yeah, that's really it. It's good luck to them in their war. Have fun. I don't see any real way that they get into trouble, because unless the way decide, like, the way, and really just the way, decide to get involved via chaining treaties or whatever. But yeah, they do have a lot of government members. That's really it. Just good luck to them, or whoever the winning side deserves to be. I really the Kingdom of Greece. I don't militarily. I don't see much. That, yes, but I would call that I would say Athenian because there's if you called them Spartan, that would be a disgrace to the Spartans of old. So disgusting. So that's really it on that. There's not much to be said. Yeah, that's why I said Athens. Um, there's really not much else to be said about this. It's just a little war. It is notable in the meantime, the Coven is an M level MDP with the fighting pacifists who are currently beating up Arrgh. So I guess at the moment, the Coven is not going to be getting involved in that war. Scrappy. Well, yeah, they've been doing a lot of war weeks, a lot of just fighting in general. And I have to coming at it from actually trying to Castle Camelot at 260 members. It's a problem. You would not believe the rank 24 and 49% of the nations in there are inactive. So, yeah. But where was I have to give them credit, even, and yes, I've been advising with them for a while, but you have to give them credit for actually doing fighting. I mean, like, this is going to be the first war after the merge. It's going to get to, it's a good tactic to unify the Sanctuary and Coven members into a fighting force, get them used to each other. So, assuming they pull it off and do well, I think it'll show that they actually have a military capacity, shall we say. So that really wraps that one up, I guess. I don't think there, Damien, is there anything else I should be talking about? I don't think there is. Witches versus melee. Well, I think we already know who wins that battle, but Napoleon, you're talking about TFP and Arrgh, aren't you? No, about just the Coven in general. Is there anything that I missed? Recent news other than merge and war? I don't think there is. The Federation has too many problems to go over. Yes, they're the ones that Decagon, the Stratospheric Marine Corps, or whatever you want to. Where is the thing here? Syndicate Protectorate, at least at the time of writing in Ron. They rebranded to Waffle House to launch a blitz on the Federation. So, moving on. There's the Odd Bunch. I didn't get to talk about that, so just briefly. It's a very interesting duo. Or not duo. God, I've lost my mind. It's a very interesting group of four. You've got House Stark, the Dead Rabbits, Camelot, and the Fighting Pacifists. Well, that's outdated because Sanctuary, well, I guess you could count that, but that's not accurate. Well, does that include Periphery or no? Because if you're putting Periphery in there, then yes, you've added a whole lot. But if you're talking core membership, well, nothing's ever accurate when it comes to core membership. So, sure, I think that's roughly accurate. I'm not going to go to the sheer nano levels I would need to make sure. So the Odd Bunch now exists. Hopefully they'll do good things, and if not good things, fun things. That's really what matters. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get. Why do you think? Well, look at the pairing. I would think that alone would make sense. You have the fighting pacifists with Camelot, with the dead rabbits, with House Stark. That is not at all a group of four that I would think you would ever see walk into a bar together. So not well, yeah, there you go. Maybe that's the solution. Maybe that's where all this came about. So now I hesitate because I didn't follow it very closely. I hesitate to get into this Ripper stuff because I didn't follow it as closely as I should have. But to my understanding, Ripper deleted while having a TFP counter on him. Is that a correct basic understanding? And then they moved TFP, teased Arrgh about it, while also trying to say, we didn't mean to hurt you, or we don't mean to offend you. And then Arrgh said, okay, well, we get it, we're not offended. And yet in public, they were still offended. And so then everyone was hating each other and milling up. Is this a more or less accurate summary? Okay, well, I have, if Harry's, no, I don't think we have any Arrgh people here to represent. Unless we do. That's unfortunate. So I hope nobody was taking it seriously. Well, Eric, do you want to come on and talk about it? Or, oh, no, there you go. So, all right, why not? You have the invite to speak. Impromptu.
Hello. How's it doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Just ate dinner and hopped onto the show.
Well, that's nice. Oh, Valini, are you in Arrgh? Okay, well, congratulations, Ashwin. You get to have your counterpart online. Okay. So, what, in the words of, in your own words, what happened? Valini, I think you have an invite if you want it, but I'll send you another one just in case. What, in your own words, happened from TFP's perspective?
All right. So from our perspective, I can run you by day. I think I'm EST, but Friday night or like Saturday morning, I think we countered Ripper for a counter. We caught him with 2 bill on him, and then somewhere in the middle of the night, he deleted. And obviously, he had. I think Sam mentioned like school stuff going on in real life. I'm a college student myself, so I get how it is.
But what do you study? Like
Me?
like Sam's gonna be a heart surgeon, bro. Like he has more. He studies more than you.
Maybe I'll see him in the hospital. I mean, I'm double majoring in chemistry and neuroscience. Hopefully pre-med. So maybe I'll see him there.
I don't know, bro. I'm just saying. Like these things happen. I didn't think you'd actually insult my man, on your alliance page. Like
Yeah, Sam pushed me to do it. No, it was just a little bit of trolling. It was a little bit of good fun.
no, it wasn't good fun. If I had done that, to your boy, you would be, you'd be a little upset.
I would be upset.
I think you would.
I don't think I would be.
I mean,
people troll us all the time.
but why? I mean, but you guys suck. I mean, it just is what it is.
I mean, nobody's arguing that point. That's a fair point.
I mean, we got more net. You know what I mean? You guys failed your blitz. What's up with the max? What's up with the max navels, bro? You guys probably got like what did they got right now? They got stats like 90 war declares. Like 90 war declare, and then you got these guys over here who are the armed peacekeepers coming to come after you. What, like you need tap, bro? You need tap?
Yeah, man, Tap's the real powerhouse of TFP. I mean, many people don't know that. Max navels, we just have to make sure all our boats are still working. That was what that's about.
Well, I thought we bought all the gas off the off the market, but I mean,
yeah, it's part of the gig. We have to take them out for the routine checks every once in a while. So, that's what that was.
Right. And then why'd you have to hit us on a Thursday? Like, you got nothing better to do during the week? You don't work on Friday, bro?
No.
Oh.
I don't work on Friday, actually. I had an 8:30 geography lab to attend, but that's all. I mean,
wow.
It was good fun.
You guys still suck, bro.
We'd spice it up a little bit.
Pirate life, bro. Pirate life.
Tactics Thursday.
We got legacy. Okay, we got legacy. You guys have.
What you gonna do with all that legacy?
We're gonna burn your infra.
Damn.
Yep.
Damn, that sucks.
Fun. So, I mean,
not the infra.
Infra, bro. Please. It's there. It's the infra is there, and then it's gone.
Oh man, that's what how hard we worked to get our lower people up to 3K. You're gonna take it all away.
Yeah. And then they're gonna build the 4K, and then guess what's gonna happen? We're gonna take it away again.
We're gonna build to 5K,
and then Hand of Fate's probably gonna take
it. So I think it's common agreement here that
the TFP sucks.
The TFP is not gonna win the stats war. I think that's predetermined agreement on everybody.
Well, anybody with more than one chromosome knows that, Lysander.
Huh?
What?
What'd you say?
Anybody with... You really didn't hear me, bro?
No, Ashwin was talking at the same time. I missed you.
Oh, my bad. Anybody with more than one chromosome knows that, bro.
I would think so. So just my perspective on this, and I want to props to TFP for their attack on Thursday. This was a smart move, in my opinion, to take the war to Arrgh rather than let Arrgh take the war to them. It makes sense rather than waiting for Arrgh to get up to full military, deposit everything, etc. Knock them out early while you have the advantage. And I think that was a smart move on their part. Will it work out ultimately? Maybe, who knows? But I will, military wise, smart call.
Thank you.
Anything?
No, but that was the.
I think that most of this is all in good fun, unless some people are actually legitimately salty about it.
I'd like to think it's all in good fun. I'm having fun. I think Arrgh's having fun. I think people are having fun watching us having fun. I think it's just a lot of fun.
Valini, if you're still here, which I don't know if I know you're not on stage anymore, but I think you're still listening to the show. Could you yeah, well, that's how most of Thalmo shows go anymore. So whatever works for you, Valini. Can you? Arrgh's sentiment has not been salty either. I don't think. Not truly. This is all in good fun from both sides, is it not?
From my understanding, for the most part, yeah, I think it's all good fun. I don't think there's people seriously salty about it. I just think it's a little bit of a public face, but I think everyone's having fun.
Well, whatever works then. Let's see here. So, do you care to comment on what brought about the Odd Bunch?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I know a little bit personally, but I can't share. So I'll leave it to you. What's the public story?
Well, it was like, we're alone, Camelot's alone, Dead Rabbits is kind of alone, not really alone, but there. So we're like, hey, we can be all alone together. And that's kind of how it works.
All alone together.
So I don't know if I think actually Dead Rabbits brought Cam in, but they're responding to Kev. But yeah.
So this was just spontaneous.
Not necessarily spontaneous. I mean, we talked about it for a little bit. It took a lot of deliberation. A few things fell through. A few things came up. But eventually we got there. But
Are you happy?
It did take a while for it to get it sorted.
Are you happy with the end result?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I don't want to say I don't know if I've worked with Ebby before. I wasn't really I didn't really communicate back with him when we had the Johnson stuff. But I have spent a lot of time with him since then. He's a pretty cool guy. Jax is pretty cool too. And yeah, they're all really nice guys, and I'm looking forward to what we can do.
Would I now? I'm You guys, as in TFP, are kind of, if not the leaders, I would guess you'd say the largest or main voice of the sphere, are you not? The only reason I put this out there is I don't think the Dead Rabbits are, and it could be Camelot or House Stark, but neither of them are tied with each other. So you're the largest that's tied with all three other members. Would you consider yourselves, or does the sphere consider TFP kind of the main representative voice, even though I know, if I remember correctly, it's a generally autonomous sphere where everyone does their own stuff?
No, I think I wouldn't really consider us the main people. I would say we're all three of us at least all have equal input and equal say in our decisions. I mean, we might be the largest by size, but I think we all have a relatively equal voice in how things go. George, it's not yes, it's how it is.
Okay. I think that about wraps it up. Now, the only other question that I'm going to throw out here, because it's a similar style question, where do you see TFP's relationship with the Coven fitting in? Just kind of a side alliance that or not a side alliance, a side treaty that you've made because you want those relations, or future sphere member, or a side block, kind of how, if you remember Quack, TKR had their own little thing and TS had their own little thing, the Syndicate, and then they were tied together. What's the thinking there, if any?
Yeah, I think Damien's done a really cool job with the Coven. They've been, as you said, I mean, you've read this than I do, but they've done a lot of war weeks. I thought that was a pretty cool idea when I think we first talked. And I think they've grown a lot. I think they've grown really well. Maybe in a bit, Kev. And um, I think they've grown up. I mean, obviously they just declared war today, right, on the Kingdom of Greece. So I don't know if today's their last war week, but it's certainly a cool one.
I think they put in the thing final war week before they jumped into the boring realm of macro politics.
Gotcha. I'm sorry, George. I'm not used to this kind of speaking thing, but yeah, I think the Nexus kind of parallel could be a pretty good idea. Like the kind of block within a block. And if that's something they're interested in as well, then it's perfect.
You've got a question from Deca there if you want to answer it. What do you see about the potential future path for the Odd Bunch post-war?
I assume post this war. Well, I mean, it's up in the air. I think we're kind of if you look at, I don't know how, if you look at the current spheres, I feel like you could kind of pick a side with all of them and kind of have them split down the middle. But I would like to say that we're kind of like a wild card in a sense. I don't think any one of us has any strong, allegiances or ties, back tens of years or whatever with anyone. Or yes, Kev was a placeholder for the Return of the Johnsons, but yeah, no, I think I like to think of us as a kind of a wild card in kind of doing what we do.
Fair answer.
That answers the question.
So, one last question from me, I guess. You can see on there, Deca just listed the entire sphere list, from Midgard to Ouroboros to the Odd Bunch to the what is it, Withheld, Wayward, Hog, Perpetuals. I consider the Commonwealth kind of a Midgard tie. They don't qualify as a sphere on their own. So, which of these spheres would you say, or would you consider the Odd Bunch and its all the little extensions, all the ties that aren't really the Odd Bunch but are, like the Coven, United, or UU, etc.? Which of those other spheres would you think that you're most on par with? Last question, unless somebody throws something at you from the audience.
I think based off our tiering, we're probably closest to Midgard. I think we're short on numbers quite a bit. I haven't looked at it recently, but I'd probably say Midgard, given our lack, I guess, thereof of big whales to help us out. Yeah, or as Epi says, half of Midgard's having us, but I guess we're most comparable with them tiering us.
Tiering us, okay. Here it is. There's the tiering chart. So, yeah, it's the upper tier lack that I guess is causing you problems. You certainly match them in the lower. Intriguing. Okay.
That's what it looks like.
Well, thank you. Unless there's anything else you would like to add, I think that is all for our impromptu interview of the night.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, anytime. So
Yeah.
the last segment of the night, Ashwin, he did it himself. Never mind. I was going to disconnect you, and I was going to tell you if it kicks you out of the stage, which it might, you're going to have to reconnect, but you did it yourself, so you're all good. The last major planned segment of the night would be the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth we saw leaks from. If you have not seen those, either they're not posted in the leaks channel here, or they are and you just haven't looked. So the general guides and information, rating, more chest, war stuff, econ info, their tech, taxes and other econ info, and archives were all leaked. Additionally, there's some internal panic over government leaving, like our very own Duck. There's it was just internal worry. And I don't know if it was HighGov or member chat, but and then I think Jarek has I don't know if he's left or not. I'll be honest, Decca, I did not pay attention. Then Jarek went ahead and had his conversation with Spanky was put up. Well, you guys don't remember because it was 2 weeks ago. So it's really just to summarize. Aurora was the only option that they had to pick from in terms of signing because of the collapse of Backrooms. Now they blame in this conversation, Jarek blames Carthago for the collapse of Backrooms. So the Commonwealth basically has a couple months to decide what they're going to do, and then the treaty ends. And that's why they're not Midgard. They're just tied to Aurora. It also says here, direct quote, so chances are the treaty with Aurora only slowed the merger into Eclipse. The short of it is that the Commonwealth is bleeding members left and right, many of them going to the Eclipse. So it might not even be an intentional merge, but if you're constantly bleeding members to another alliance and you die, you've basically merged. So Jarek has, well, so here's the thing. I don't think he's left Deca, unless he did and he didn't follow through on his threat. Because in the conversation, it does say once he leaves, he's planning on dumping all the logs. Every group chat he's been in, yada, yada. So, since we haven't seen that yet, I'm going to assume it hasn't happened. No, you're fine. I'm just saying it doesn't exist yet. So, well, I don't know. Why wasn't he kicked? Maybe because everyone else in the government over there is just too busy napping. He's still, what is it here? Chief of staff, which equates to what? Well, yeah, that's not a good member count graph. So, let's see. He's still second in command. Evidently, they have their priorities straight over there. Why are you thinking of me? What did I do? Deca, get your people in order. Come on. Valini's the one that's drunk, not you. So, the last little bit of this Commonwealth. Oh, he is too? Oh, well, then it's a party. The last little part, it's what Borg's Assisted Loot Liberation Services. It's terrible, my friends. It's terrible. So, yes, it's the abbreviation is balls. They were raiding Farkistan. And, you know, I've noticed people do that from time to time. But if you look on the Commonwealth's page, there's nothing there about a protectorate treaty with Farkistan. And for a time, Farkistan, the protectorate between the Commonwealth and Fark had expired. And nobody had bothered to renew it. So naturally, Balls launches their raids on Fark because there's no one protecting them. They can do whatever they want. Yeah, it's not on any AA pages. So then they get quote unquote countered by the Commonwealth. And when Right Honorable the Leader of the Commonwealth is asked about this, it basically says it just expired due to an oversight. Oversights happen, and screw you, we're gonna fight it. And that last part was said when he ignored any conversation about piecing out the wars. So this was obviously the wrong choice because the Commonwealth and FARC have taken roughly $2 billion in damages. And Balls has taken a whopping $15 million. So this was as of yesterday at 5:30 p.m. So it's probably exponentially higher. The Commonwealth's on the way out. There's nothing else that you can say other than they're heading downhill. You just there's nothing else to be said. So with that in mind, I think the last topic is really not even a topic. It's another forum post. Did anyone understand this loot modifier? And if they did anyone understand it the way that they can explain it to other people? Because I read it and I thought I understood it, and I realized I couldn't explain it, and that means I don't understand it. So, what you do, well, can you explain it? And if you can, would you mind? Would you mind? Because I absolutely no clue. Modify 2.21 city 2.21. Like I didn't know we had city 2.21. So basically, my understanding of it was you loot less the further down you declare if they're outside of your war range. And that was all that I got out of that. So maybe that's all I needed to get out of that. I don't know. What do y'all think needs to happen or should happen as upcoming update changes? What is happening and what should be happening that isn't? Just put out your thoughts, because I feel like there's a significant amount of stuff that's getting ignored. You build 2 nukes at a time? Is that what you're referring to? Make alliance banks public. They don't need to be public if offshores are illegal. Double pirate economy. Well, that wouldn't be a bad. Honestly, I think it could be pretty fun if they did something like, gee, I don't know. Yeah, advanced pirate economy. Ape. And you get maybe another war slot, or maybe you get 2 offensive, but the downside is you get a defensive. I don't know. Just throwing stuff out there. Although if that was ever the case where they did something like that where it added a defensive, maybe somebody's done this. Can someone tell me what happens if you declare 6 wars with pirate economy and then delete pirate economy? Does it affect you negatively in any way, shape, or form? Mars landing project. What would be the point of the Mars landing project? You still keep the 6 wars. So if in theory an advanced pirate economy was created where it gave you +2 offensives but +1 defensive, depending upon the sheer cost, if it was relatively inexpensive, it could be worth it for people to just buy and then delete. You get to launch 8 offensive wars and only deal with the 3 defensives. Pirate Econ. What is Pirate Econ? Let's see here. Pirate. Oh yeah, then that's not cheap at all, is it? That's what 36 and 24 is 60, 85. Yeah, you're at what, over 160 million? See, Damien, that'd be an interesting project because it would absolutely screw over double buys. Alex Intelligence Project, what does that do? Randomly delete units? So, I don't know if, honestly, projects. I don't think we need more projects. People might I don't think we need more projects. I think we need new features, maybe. Oh dear. New things in the game, maybe. But I don't think we need more projects until we get more features. Not bugs, more features. a skill tree. Well, I agree with you, and I think there should be, my personal opinion, put in a tech tree. This way, different tech levels can do different damage buffs, and you can also constrict war range based off of tech, because the easy, and this is what actually makes sense if you think about it. If the space tree, if not the space tree, if this tech tree went all the way out to space stuff, right? Like Star Trek or Star Wars level tech, a war range modifier would make sense, because, for instance, right now you don't have people with nuclear weapons worrying about people that still live in tribes with spears. You wouldn't have people that live like a Star Trek or Star Wars worrying about people with our current technology. So it would provide interesting dynamics. People could specialize in certain unit types. I mean, I think, and if you had different paths for the tree that were, you had to pick one and stick with it, or if you switch to another, you have to reset your entire progress, and it takes time, not just money. You could absolutely build, maybe you could have a path that goes towards sheer damage, sheer unit kills. I don't know, I'm just throwing things out. But it's a tech tree would be huge. They're saying they've already got it with that, whatever their perks. It's supposed to be kind of similar. I don't think it's going to work at all the way it's intended, but we'll see. That's all I have on that. Well, that's what perks are. Well, Pre has been more and more talkative about it recently, and so that's the only reason I put any stock into it. In all honesty, it'll probably not happen for a long time. A new war type. What kind of war type, Damien? There's steal people's stuff and blow their stuff up and do both. What's our fourth type? Scorched Earth. And what does that do? It sounds like it could be a good double damage, no. So what I would disagree. You'd have to put a buff in on unit kills. Even if it's like a 25% multiplier. Because Scorched Earth, does that invalidate them taking loot from you too? Because no matter what the outcome is, your ground troops are now useless unless you're just going for planes via a ground wave. Your ground troops are now useless. The only thing that matters would be nukes. And potentially missiles. So, but that's interesting. I would actually support I wouldn't call that Scorched Earth. Well, that's my personal opinion. But I would support a war type like that, which is just, I guess, destructive. And then Scorched Earth, or not even, well, maybe that would be Scorched Earth. And then you could have a different war type that, yeah, that's what I was thinking, is one that's based off of, well, raid is already the one that does loot. You don't need a better, I don't think you need a better loot modifier. You could have one, but you could also just have a war type that's more focused on unit damages. Everyone that, or just everyone takes 1.5 times as many unit damages. But George, the issue is, and this has been said countless times, and that's why the reason why policies don't have any effect is because as soon as you give them an effect, all the econ bastards are going to get together and say, this is the right way to play. The problem, there are roleplay elements. Nobody cares about them because either they're irrelevant or they've been optimized. Well, yeah, fact book, you have your own nation policies, they're all irrelevant. You also have RP. If you want to make a nation run on wind farms, you can. But because it's such a terrible cost to do so, you're never going to do it. Whatever the most efficient path forward is what happens. Now, if a skill tree, a tech tree was put in, if a tech tree was put in, you could make laws mess with the tech tree. Having this law or leaning this way boosts your research in this category and reduces your research in this category. A new achievements relating to war policy that would grant upgraded versions for completing. Well, I would support that. I would absolutely support achievements unlocking special war policies. And not even war policies, but national policies as well. Absolutely. Let's see. Destructive. Well, on the attrition war policy, win a war using only missiles and nukes. Oh, that's almost impossible. Bye, Deca. Super attrition. All attacks do 15% more damage. Well, that'd be pretty cool. So, well, on the turtle war policy, win a war after 50 turns have passed. Super troll. Take 15% less infra damage. Well, on the blitzkrieg, win 3 wars in the same turn. For the first 24 turns after switching, deal 15% more. Yeah, these are all things that... Is it possible? It is possible to win a war using less than... No, it's not. Is it? But that's the only formula that works. Unless... Can you win it with less? Because if you do 10 ground, you're at 30. So there'd only be one combination that works. But no, this is absolutely something that I think would be... I don't see why people would have such a disagreement with it. This absolutely should, and you could even spin it into, you've got domestic policies too. Take a look at those. What can you unlock super domestic policies via certain other achievements? That would be something to look at, because I absolutely think that that would be a fun thing to have. You know, that's getting pinned. This whole thing, this is right here. Oops, that's a reply button. I'm absolutely on my A game today. Where's the, oh, there it is. So, well, you could even do reach a certain revenue landmark, and like, for instance, there's what? There's open markets. Okay, well, have an achievement about open something markets, and have it be like, I don't know, achieve 100 trades within 12 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours, whatever the time limit is. And it increases gross income by 2.5% instead of 1%. Stuff like that. I think that could absolutely. Yes, there's a way to get around it, but you can even put in there a minimum quantity. That too. City improve. So there's a lot of options. I think it's a brilliant thing to look at. This, I think, wraps up the week. How would you guys feel? And I know we're down to about half, little over half of what we were at the height, but what are your thoughts on an episode, not an episode, a day where I go over, cover the news really quickly, and then we all have half hour, 45 minutes to an hour. There'll be a pre-submitted, no, we are not pirating a movie. There'll be, you'll be able to pre-submit your stuff to me, and I will go through, and we can go through different game suggestions that everybody has in our little broadcast radio community. Different thoughts people have on changing mechanics or adding stuff like the tree or these policies. Is this something that you guys would, kind of a community workshop almost? I would never expect to get anything out of it regarding Alex ever giving way on anything, but it's just, it'll show some of the ideas that are out there in the community, and how somebody's idea might even catch on and actually gain momentum to the point somebody it gets implemented. Not a workshop like that, but just a general BS session where people give me their ideas, I voice them, and everyone they can add to it, and then everyone just kind of scrambles about it for a while, and then we move on. Yeah, there'll be plenty of that, George. Don't worry. I'm sure you won't be the only one. So this sums up. I'll keep this in mind. I will take a let's do a brief poll of the 5 active people in the chat. 1, if you would like to see the sort of community event I just described. 2, if you would not. Any other number does not count. Oh, hey, there's more than 5 people. Imagine that. You guys infuriate me. No, see, George, I would, But all right, that's enough numbers. But I would rather do the event first, and maybe even at the end of it, hold a vote on which ideas are the most popular, and then have Pre come in and we do kind of that sort of discussion, rather than have him come in and say, Alex would never do that. He's too lazy. Or we just don't feel that that's possible. I'd rather get the stuff to get this way. We know what the community at least likes, rather than have Pre-influence what ends up being in the top because of possibility. No, actually, because when you start that creativity, this is how brainstorming works, is you sit down and you write out everything that comes to you. If you want to successfully brainstorm, you sit down and you say, okay, I'm going to come up with ideas. You have your topic, you look at it, what comes to mind? You write, you keep writing. You don't sit there and stop and say, oh, well, that's stupid, or oh, that'd never work. As soon as you do that, you kill all the creativity that you ever have to come up with anything about that topic that you're trying to brainstorm. So I would actually rather keep the idea killer out of things, let people see new ideas, piggyback off the ideas, and maybe Pre says, no, that wouldn't work because of this. And somebody made a suggestion during that brainstorming period or that discussion period on that idea that would address whatever Pre's concern was. I want the creative flow to still be there. I do not want it destroyed out of Alex and the developers' laziness. That's just how I feel on that. It's the community's got to be able to do what it is they want to do. They've got to be able to come up with the ideas that they want. If it's not possible, it's not possible. But at least they've had a shot to express themselves rather than being shot down before they can even flesh out an idea. That's how I feel on that topic. Am I missing something? Is there something that I should have done, but should have covered, but I did not? Or are we all good? I've covered everything relating to politics and war. Final call, politics and war. And that's not a topic for discussion. So I'm going to say that I've done that, and I'm going to jump ahead to a real world topic that I promised I'd be brief on. So coming up in 4 days are the United States midterm elections. For those of you that don't know what those are by some miracle of God, the midterm elections are our election year, our main election year, where most offices and the House of Representatives and Senate seats are up for election. But the president, there is no presidential election. He is not up for election. And the midterms are usually a referendum on the party in power because they have had 2 years to govern. Now, if the party in power, for instance, if Democrats control the president, yes, a third of the Senate and all of the House. If the Democrats control the presidency, but Republicans somehow controlled the Senate and the House, then it gets a little dicey because Republicans would be saying in that midterm season, oh, the Democratic president didn't let us do stuff. And the Democratic president would say, Republicans have had Congress and haven't done anything. So it's a bit of a weird political environment. However, generally, whoever is in charge of the presidency has at least one chamber, and it usually ends up being a referendum on them, whichever party that is. The midterm elections on November 8th are looking to be like they're going to be the highest turnout elections in United States history. And they're going to be very contentious. I'm not going to get into the politics of it because while it's fun to debate on them and whatnot, it gets to be a very polarizing issue. It's unfortunate, but we really can't talk about politics without anyone on the other side of the aisle instantly declaring us a problem. So, and this goes for both sides. So, all I have to say when it comes to the midterm elections is if you're in the United States and you're of the age to vote, go out and vote. Unfortunately, while I encourage everyone to, if they can, eventually run for office because that is truly political engagement, that is how your voice is actually heard. When the people in power in both parties are able to just consistently run things, and the average American does not run for office in a primary, there's no representation of average Americans. So you end up voting between two evils. It's just whoever's the least evil. However, your vote is your main voice, so make sure you exercise it regardless of your political party on November 8th, if you have not already early voted. The other thing about the midterms is, or lack thereof, or lack of what? What is lacking? I'm sorry, I have apparently short-term memory loss. What about wanting to vote? You should always vote. It doesn't matter whether you want to or not. I think that's a common thing that I don't think people always understand, but you should vote no matter what, regardless of if you hate every candidate on the ballot, because there's going to be a candidate that you hate more. There's going to be somebody on that ballot that has an issue that their issues are more reprehensible to you than the other side. It is physically impossible for you to hate both candidates and their policies equally. So in that event, you should, by not voting, you throw away your political voice. And so you need to look and see which policies align with you more closely. And it might be that both are extremely far away from you, but which one's farther? You do not want to not vote and then have the person that's farther away from you get into office just because you didn't vote. You need to vote with whichever party or whichever candidate is more in line, even if neither are in line, whichever is closer to your beliefs. The other thing on the midterm elections, well, if you're not a citizen, you're not allowed to vote. I apologize, but, well, I think in DC you can, but I don't know. Rank your can. See, I think that voting fraud's a topic for me to never talk about because it's a topical topic. Ranking your candidates, Avatar Patrick. Instant runoff voting is the best, or one of the best forms of voting, because you can vote for whoever you like and it does not penalize you. If you vote for a libertarian and they're the first ones out, then your vote transfers to your closest ideological ally, which generally is going, in some races, is a Republican. Like Rand Paul, he's a libertarian Republican. You vote for the libertarian, they lose, and it goes to whoever you put next in line. The problem with instant runoff voting, and you saw this in Alaska, is that voters don't properly understand how it works. They throw their second, third, any vote after their first, or even their top, in more advanced elections where there are perhaps 7 to 8 candidates running, they throw their votes after the top 3. You should vote all the way down the ballot if you can. You should vote, rank every candidate, because it's the only way that your vote is actually going to count. If you only rank your top candidate and then you don't rank your second favorite, then if your top candidate loses, it's like you've never voted at all. So I think that you saw this in Alaska, where combined the 2 Republican candidates in the first round got a majority share of the vote. But the Democrat ended up winning the race because enough Republican voters did not use their second vote and put it behind the other Republican. That was the problem, the key problem. Certainly there were some that probably used their second vote for the Democrat. That happens, and there will be some Democrats that use their second vote for the Republican. But overall, the overwhelming reason why the Republicans failed to take that seat in the special election was because the voters did not use their second vote wisely. So I think when it comes to election integrity, that's a topical topic, but it's something that should be addressed. Voters should be able to see that when they vote, their vote matters, right? For instance, and I don't think election integrity is widely a Republican concern. I think it's a broad concern overall, because nobody wants foreign interference or domestic interference. But I think Republicans view it a bit more like Democrats have kind of viewed the Electoral College, in terms of Democrats say, oh, well, my vote doesn't really count because there's the Electoral College. Which, are there merits to that? Yes. Are there merits against that? Yes. Republicans would feel the same way in the event, and they do feel the same way in the event that elections, you cannot guarantee their integrity, or questioning their integrity automatically makes you a demon. They end up feeling, well, my vote, if I can't know my, if I can't know that my vote counts, then what's the point? So, but I do think ultimately, if the democratic system ran the way it was supposed to, and all elections were free and fair with zero interference, zero fraud, zero anything, instant runoff is a magnificent boost to democracy. But overall, this comes down to one simple thing, and the reason I chose to speak about this subject at all, this very topical topic, which, do you care to share which state that is, Avatar Patrick, or do you not want to? If you don't want to, don't bother. Maine. Yeah, I hate to say it, but Maine is a really weird state in terms of how it votes. Because I would swear that if Republicans made an effort, it could be a competitive state. If I go to the historical, Nebraska is also a weird one. But like Maine as an entire state has consistently gone blue since Bush ran the second time. So anyways, that's just my thinking. Where was I? So Thalmor he's going to open the midterms special election chat on Monday. The elections are on Tuesday. I am kind of a political nerd in terms of I love looking at the stats and the outcomes and the polling and all of this. I will say that if polling errors are as bad as they were last time in 2020, things are going to be very interesting in terms of Democrats that were projected to win by they're leading their Republican opponents by 3-4 points, and the polling error was against them by 5, 6, 7 points last time. So just looking at that it'll be interesting. The other thing that'll be interesting will be the redistricting. That does generally tend to favor Republicans. However, Democrats were able to get in pretty well this time. So it'll be interesting, but keep that in mind. Gerrymandering. No, actually, I don't. Because gerrymandering implies that there's something wrong with the process. And there is, but at the same time, there isn't, because it's incentivized. If you are the party in power, it is your incentive, it is to your benefit to rewrite the districts in your favor. Now, is that bad for us overall? Yes, I do think it is. But it's difficult to fix. It's a very difficult process because most of the fixes are either unreliable or prone to corruption. So I think Americans at large would be happier if safe districts really did not exist and it was mostly competitive districts. But that is not the reality of it. No, even then, Tomato, that it's not a fix because you outlaw gerrymandering. What do you replace it with? Independent commissions, we've already seen they're not always as independent as they say they are. Plus, you can bribe an independent commission. You do it statistically, and sometimes you'll still end up with rigged districts. If you actually go through and watch CGP Grey, I think you're the one that put his video in here. Yes, watch his gerrymandering video if you haven't already. There are tons of fixes, but they all have their own problems. You could even pay people to gerrymander districts into being as competitive as possible. But the problem is those people can still be bribed. So overall, it's a very difficult phenomenon to deal with. Honestly, the solution is probably something absurd, like proportional representation or mixed member, whatever. And I say absurd because you have to overhaul the entire U.S. electoral system in order to make that possible. Didn't Theresa, aren't you the one? Didn't you just say that the Tories win loads of seats with under 50% of the vote? So what's the split there? Is it because you have third parties? But those don't. Well, yes, they have third parties, but that doesn't make sense that every third party is a left-wing party that splits the vote. Yes, your third parties are actually relevant. It's that is a fair point, but I don't. Not all UK third parties are left, are they? Oh, well, I'm talking about even over there, because we're generally supposed to be a center-right country, the United States. So even the conservative, the Tories over in the UK are to the left of Republicans. Huh. So you're saying that do you have the numbers on what the split of parliament would be like if all left-wing parties were unified in the election, their vote was unified, and all right-wing parties were unified? Because it depends. If it's not that big of a swing, how many seats do you people have over there? 650. So, yeah, if it's a massive margin by like 100 seats or more, then yeah, I would agree that's probably somebody needs to get those left parties together to actually represent the public. But if it ends up being like a 30 seat swing, even 40 or 50, I would say, depending upon how large the conservative margin is over there, that's not that's not infighting. That's your districts need to be redrawn. The other issue is that in the United States, I don't know what your laws are regarding lobbying over there and all that, but it'd be a whole mess over here regarding independent commissions and who they're accountable to, and if people can no, if people can be, if independent commissions maps can be sued in court for being unfair, and if so, do judges have the power to overturn them? If so, what happens? Does the legislature get it or what? So there's a whole host of things to be addressed, but that's really it. Well, Avatar Patrick, I don't necessarily disagree with that either, because I it's a mix. If the party is in power, they're in power for a reason. And districts should generally favor them because the people have elected them. Does that mean they should be gerrymandering in 50% of the seats to be safe seats? No, not at all. But if they're in power, they are deserving of a general tilt in some areas. That's not. For what, George? Well, yeah, Avatar Patrick. I think that's part of why you see redistricting it's not being blamed for this whole potential quote unquote red wave. Because Republicans didn't gerrymander as bad, or they didn't change the seats as badly as Democrats expected, and Democrats changed the seats a lot more than traditionally. So it's not even, but it's evened itself out a little more. Anyways, that sums up my little podcast for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope to see you all in those of you to whom it's relevant, the special election chat. If you're going to talk about politics, keep it there. Oh, I already did that, Kiwi. If you haven't already voted early, get your butt out there on election day. You're fine. You're fine. I'll try to see if I can have the recording up tomorrow. So. End of show. Thank you all for sticking with me. It is the 8th, yes. I don't think there's anyone here who doesn't already have... Oh, there are several people here who don't already have the Lysandite roll. Well, shame on you people. Let's go through and add that to everyone who is... Oh, we lost one. How does Felinio not already have the roll? Odd. Very odd. I feel like I've skipped out on some of you. Okay, my friends. Well, that's going to wrap up the show. So let me grab the theme song. Let me invite the bot. And let's see, can I come up here and add my role to Theresa May? Okay, Matt, there we go. Matt's got it. And let's see, where's this bot so I can invite it in here and play your wonderful theme song. Is Zig still here? God, it won't play. Give me a second, my friends. Let's see if I can get this. Is it going to come in here? No, it won't. You know, people, technology is really, it's terrible. Can I? No, I don't want to server mute them. I'd like to invite them to speak. Here we go. Good night, all my friends. I will see you in 2 weeks. Have a good night.